Hey guys, Jessica Shire here and welcome back. I am doing a video using the Cat Scrappiness bamboo background die. And this die is almost an A2. It fits onto an A2 card front just perfectly. And I'm going to be using this with some cardstock from my stash. It's like a sparkly silver cardstock. I was going for a metal kind of look, a silver look. And my plan today was to kind of mix gold and silver to make this card. So I ran this through my die cutting machine. I have a Big Shot and it cut really well. I didn't use a shim or anything, but I did run it back and forth without going past the actual die, just going right over the top of it several times to make sure I got a really good cut, because this is a very delicate, detailed background die. That just helped me out a little bit more, and I took some time and I popped off all those little pieces. So like I said, I was going to mix some gold and silver together, do a mixed metal kind of technique. So I have that silver cardstock. I'm going to use some clear embossing ink and just brush that against the edges and then pour some gold embossing powder over the top. Now I have this paintbrush that I use a lot to kind of sweep away any of those embossing powder flakes that I don't want in certain areas. So I go ahead and do that. I wanted it to look kind of distressed around the edges, so you'll see that in just a moment. I heated my heat gun really well. That way this embossing powder will melt real quickly and it won't warp that cardstock a whole lot. I'm going to run that across the edges, and you can see the gold embossing powder melting and kind of mixing and fading in with the silver cardstock. I just thought that made the background look so cool. I also have some green cardstock that I'm going to layer behind this die so you can really see those intricate details. I thought I would use some Nuvo drops to water down and then splatter with, but it didn't work out how I thought it would. So luckily I could just like quickly swipe away all that Nuvo drop, and it didn't hurt the cardstock. Actually splattered it with a white pigment ink pad. So it's very light. It's kind of not a necessary detail, but I do like a little bit of that white splatter showing on that green cardstock behind that bamboo backdrop die. Unfortunately though, I didn't capture that white splattering that I actually used, but you'll see the cardstock here in just a moment and you can kind of see that white detail there. The stamp set I'm going to pair with my bamboo backdrop die is the Happy Fall Y'all stamp set by Cat Scrappiness. I decided to use this vase with the florals. I thought it would work well with the bamboo backdrop. I'll have the Copics that I use listed below, or you can follow the Copic caps that I have. I like to use the dark colors first. For some reason that is a little bit easier for me. So I start with the B99 and I'm just concentrating that on the outer edges of the vase, and then I blend that out with a B95. And then go in with a B93 to blend those out. The last one is a B91, and then I go back to the darker colors too to add more depth in on the outer edges. And then I can fix any little mistakes that I might have colored outside the lines with my Copic colorless blender. For most of the leaves, I'm going to be using a YG03, a YG01, and then a little bit of the Y21 to warm those up. I also add in a bit of G14 just to get that intense green color. For the heart or the floral, I use my favorite combination of reds. I add a bit of reds to that bud also, including the Y21 to make it look like, and then fade out with some more of those green markers too. I really wanted to add some more gold to this, so I grabbed my Versamark pen. This is just a clear embossing pen, and I added some of that ink to those stripes on that vase. That way I can pour the gold embossing powder over that. It's the same one that I used previously. I also like to sweep away a lot of the embossing powder on images like this. But this one I kind of left some of the flakes just because I thought it gave it a kind of a cool look. I'm going to pour that embossing powder back and then I can heat set that. So I have my little vase here with the flowers. I'm going to go ahead and use the Crafter's Essential 1 die set. And this die set has a stitched rectangle in it. And I use that to cut out my little vase, which was colored on Neenah 80-pound cardstock. I also used one of the sentiments from Happy Fall Y'all to stamp on off to the right hand side of that vase. And I used some VersaFine clear ink for that. And I did add a shadow to the right of the vase also, but I go ahead and blend that out with my colorless blender at the end of this video because it didn't really fit the rest of the orientation. Now I'm going to chop off just that upper right hand corner to make this like a diagonal cut. That way you can see more of that bamboo backdrop die. Now I'm going to glue the bamboo backdrop die cut to that green paper. You can see that white splatter. I'm going to set those underneath a large acrylic block so that they dry. And now I can add on that diagonal cut piece with the vase, just using my ATG gun to adhere that. And now I'm going to mount that whole panel to a Neenah 110-pound card base. This is a top fold A2 sized. So this bamboo backdrop die is part of the new release for September from Cat Scrappiness, and I love the way this turned out. I love the intricacy of this die, and I just think it adds a really cool texture too. If you have any panda stamps, it would just work perfectly for those, so keep that in mind. All right, you guys, that is it from me. Thank you so much for joining me today. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Give this video a like if you enjoyed it. I really appreciate you watching, and I will see you in the next one.